Hello everyone and welcome to Webcam Wrestling, and I gotta say, this is the first video I've done on this channel that isn't filmed on a webcam. And I know it's called Webcam Wrestling, but like, I still have the same problem that I mentioned in my last video where like, my main computer is in my bedroom and I don't want people like seeing my bedroom, and I don't want to have to like do a bunch of work to set up the webcam in here, so I was like, fuck it, it's just easier to film on my actual camera at this point. So that's what we're doing. Possibly for the foreseeable future. I upload regularly on this channel anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, Summerslam 2019 is in the bag. A lot of actually really good matches this time around. I don't know if it's because Heyman and Bischoff are now more formal leaders within WWE, but like there's been a little bit of a change in the tide as of late on terms of just WWE performance. I don't know if AEW being on the rise has anything to do with that, but like, we were having so many bad pay-per-views, such a bad stretch of wrestling, and now like Extreme Rules was pretty good. SummerSlam I thought was really good. Really good, like as far as, you know, WWE's standards are concerned. But yeah, this was a really interesting pay-per-view. There's a lot of storylines that I did not follow. And I'm really slacking on watching, you know, even just the clips every week of wrestling. The most I'll do is like put on Hulu as I fall asleep, you know. So some of these storylines I'm not as invested in as I could be. I kind of just follow the people I care about. I always see what Bray Wyatt's doing. I always see, usually I'll follow like AJ and Ricochet and titles and that kind of stuff. But I'm not following like the women's tag belts. I'm not following this Goldberg Dolph Ziggler thing. So some of these I'm not as invested in. Bayley and Ember Moon, as much as I love Ember Moon, I'm just not into that one. Not into the Kofi Randy thing, even though like I was like a really early wrestling fan when that rivalry happened. But we'll talk about that when we get to the match. Before we start anything though, I think we have to have a little predicate on the new WWE layout. I don't know when the new WWE network layout. I don't know when they changed it. I assume it was right before SummerSlam because everyone else seemed to be complaining as well. But basically, it looks like your Netflix, Hulu style streaming service now. I never liked the old format, so I'll take this. I did browse it a little bit, and I was kind of lost a little bit. Like, I was trying to find like old WCW pay-per-views and other ECW pay-per-views that I never got to watch. Part of the reason I'm paying for this fucking service is so I can at least have the option for when I do want to watch these fucking pay-per-views. I'm paying like $10 a month just to watch like a pay-per-view at a time, and then like occasionally I'll turn like a Royal Rumble or a WrestleMania on, but like that's it. I'm getting ripped off here. And now you're taking, I didn't even see a lot of the stuff I've been meaning to watch. Like, fuck you. But oh my god, cause I had to, you know, re-log in, and re-logging in, the little thing where you put in like letters and numbers was the worst fucking thing I've ever used. I've never typed in numbers. I've never typed in my email so slowly, and then I forgot it was on my old email, so I was ripping my hair out. It took like 30 fucking plus minutes to log in to a fucking account I've always been logged into. Oh my god. As far as the functionality, like the actual streaming of the whole pay-per-view, it was a nightmare. Pretty much, and this whole fucking network has been shitty for a while now. I know for a lot of people it's been shitty. I haven't had a single pay-per-view completely work smoothly. I've probably been spoiled by matches, like getting fucked up, and I've been in places that have shitty internet, and I know that's a part of it. But I don't think I've ever had a single pay-per-view where at least one match didn't fuck up, and usually I have at least one match per pay-per-view fuck up via it will replay things. It'll replay like the same fucking, like it'll be a 30-second stretch, and it'll go back 30 seconds, and then it'll try to fix itself after like being like slowed down for a minute. So like you're rewatching the same shit, and then out of nowhere, like 2 minutes later, it's gonna jump forward, and it could be like at the end of the match. And that happened again in this pay-per-view, but on top of that, there was a lot more. I didn't have this audio problem that a lot of people were talking about, but I did have the usual going back and forward static, where it like it's moving like really fast, and like the word, like the, you can tell it's the hits aren't like matching, like they're when they're being slammed to the mat, it's not matching quite right. A lot of stuff like that that I've always seen. And then rewinding and fast forwarding, I gave up on. Like there was a couple matches that I did have to fast forward a little bit because I'm on a time crunch here. Some people have to work in the morning, and I was really like scared to fast forward at all. That's how bad this fucking service is. So glad I'm paying monthly for this, man. Anyway, let's talk about the actual show. We opened off with the Raw Women's Championship being defended between Becky Lynch and Natalya. Natalya, obviously the hometown hero, because they mentioned it 1,000 times. Even though Becky got not way more, but she definitely got more cheer from the crowd than Natalya did. I'm going to use this blanket to fucking lift my body up because I feel, there we go, I'm better in frame now. After that, we had, well, I should talk about the match. There was a lot of good spots. There was pretty easy to follow story being told where Becky's working Natalya's arm, set up to disarm her. Natalya's going after Becky's legs to set up for the sharpshooter. They steal each other's finishers each. Which happens again between the Charlotte and Trish. There's a really good spot where Natalya's a sharpshooter on the ropes. That was really cool. And just submission, they have this new rule. I don't know if this is new. I'm pretty sure it's new, where there's no rope break anymore for submission matches. I honestly like that idea. I thought the more inventive ways to get out of the ring and all these other things were actually really fun. There are spots you don't get to see that much because normally there's a rope break. And with how many, like, I know Sasha Banks is gone now, but with how many submission female wrestlers there are now, you know, we got Charlotte with the figure 8, the disarmer, Sasha Banks, the bank statement, Paige has a move, I know she's gone, but like so many big submission moves out. It's cool to see like an actual submission match and one that actually like takes that into effect, and because there's so many stories now where the finish involves a submission move, so it's cool to actually see a cool submission match in 2019 on a big 4 pay-per-view for a title match. So I really like this match. Like, I knew Becky was gonna win. I think we all knew it. It was kind of just the same thing with Kofi. We're kind of just setting up characters for these guys to knock down. But again, they're having really good reigns, so I'm not really complaining. As long as the story's good and the matches are good. Story for this one was pretty weak. The match itself, pretty good. Nothing spectacular. I liked it though. I thought the right woman won as well. I hope Becky keeps the belt for like another year. Following that, we had Goldberg versus Dolph Ziggler. They did a couple things here, because I thought it was just going to be a spear 1, 2, 3. Opening it up with Ziggler kind of getting that near fall, like just make you question yourself for a second there. I thought that was really cool. Obviously Goldberg won, but what they did after the match with Dolph, you know, calling him out, and then he comes back down, and then he leaves completely, and Dolph continues to trash talk him as he leaves. And then he comes back out, but then he like does that weird thing where he pulls him up, pats him like on the back, and then spears him. I thought that was like an interesting way to go about it. Obviously, I don't like seeing the young buck Dolph Ziggler, you know, he's a veteran at this point, but I don't like him getting jobbed out and squashed by fucking Goldberg. Oh, he's a nostalgic act that I'm fucking 22 years old, and I've never fucking watched WCW. I'm sorry that I wasn't fucking, like, I've been watching since I was like 9. Give me a fucking break. Like, I have to watch this shit when I'm like 3 or 4 to fucking follow. I'm sorry. But yeah. I don't like seeing that as much as the next guy, but at this point, Dolph Ziggler's character has been spinning his wheels kind of for years now. I know I really like the feud with Dean Ambrose and the other one with The Miz, and I think Dolph is like a great guy just to like call on if you just want to fill, like even the thing with Kofi, if you just want to fill in a really great match and a really good promo, like he's your guy. I don't think his heart is in the company anymore. I think it's been gone, but he still is a great worker. All things considered, I don't think he's ever gonna like do another substantial thing, but he's great for things like this. And you know, it's kind of unfortunate, but I think Goldberg's one of those legends that they're trying to protect. So, all things considered, I'm not like that upset about it. And it could have been worse. He could have just speared him 1, 2, 3 and then walked out. But they added a thing or two there. And where Dolph's mindset is, where he's like that fucking headstrong that he's calling him out just to get beat up over and over again. You kind of want to see where that goes, right? Like where is his headspace at that he's doing this? Like, and I think that again has probably been like him. He's been spinning his wheels since like he won the United States Championship and then vacated it way back when. Yeah. Following that, we had AJ versus Ricochet. I loved Ricochet's Nightwing outfit, especially since like his offset like kind of matches his aerial and physical attacks, like resembles like a Nightwing type character. So I loved it. I did fast forward through this match a little bit. Again, time crunch. This was a much shorter Big Four pay-per-view, which I'll talk about at the end. I kind of appreciated that, but there was a couple things I fast forward through. I wasn't digging this match. It kind of just felt like I've seen these guys. I know they're great. It didn't seem like they were trying to put on like a 5-star match this time around, so I was kind of just like, yeah, whatever. AJ won, got the Styles Clash. Good match from what I saw. Nothing here that I'm gonna like take away. I think this was the stamp on the feud. I know people are, you know, kind of bummed out that Ricochet got the push, and now they're kind of like using that to give the OC and that whole stable like a thing. But that stable looking good, like with the tag belts and the US belt, like they look strong, and I'm glad for it. And Ricochet, I don't think he's that hurt by this. You know, he already won the belt. He's already, you know, ready to be a top guy the second you want him to be at this point. So I'm not upset by it. And plus, he's kind of fighting a whole stable by himself. So nothing wrong with taking an L there. Following that, we had Bayley versus Ember Moon. Kind of a boring match. I kind of wish I fast forward through this one. Bayley won clean. I thought there was going to be a heel turn. If not that, Ember would win. And I love Ember Moon, by the way. I loved her entrance with the face paint and everything in this one. Just even her outfit with like the claws and everything. I love it. That being said, though, Bayley just kind of went in clean. I don't mind pushing Bayley. Like, I like Bayley, but they haven't done anything with her character. Like, if we're gonna like kind of reignite her and kind of give her this push out of nowhere, it's kind of out of nowhere, but it is. Like when she won Money in the Bank and won the title, she wasn't doing anything before that. Before that, she was wandering around. Before that, she was in the tag thing with Sasha. You saw how well that went. So for her to get this big title push all of a sudden, and then she's still just doing the same thing, and on her promos, she's just kind of hamming it in. I'm sorry, but that's what I'm getting from Bayley as of late, and then she just kind of wins clean here. I'm kind of just like, oh. Like, I would have been fine with a heel turn or just something to maybe she, like, becomes a tag partner or something with Ember Moon. They're like an actual stable. I don't give a shit. Just do something. So, yeah, not that happy with that result. Following that, this is another match I had to fast forward through. Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon. I like the finish where Shane got his balls kicked. I never, because when they started putting Shane McMahon back in matches, I thought they were like one-offs. And then I was starting to see him on every single Big Four pay-per-view. That's equivalent to like bringing back like a legend full-time. Fuck that. I hate every storyline he's been a part of as of late. I think he's ruining characters like Elias and Drew McIntyre just by association. I hate this rivalry. Kevin Owens deserves better. Beating Shane McMahon doesn't really amount to much. But hopefully he goes away at least until Royal Rumble, where I'm sure he's going to have another stupid-ass fucking match. Following that, we had Charlotte Flair versus Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus, I actually really enjoyed this match. Trish Stratus, like, I know that she's been, like, one of those wrestlers that, like, I'll see, like, on lists where it's, like, a legend who could come back full-time at any time. And you got guys like Rey Mysterio doing that. So I'm like, yeah, I'll take Trish coming back. Because, again, I started watching, like, in 2006. This was, like, by the time I started watching, Trish had been gone. And, like, she was a legend. And so at this point, like, over 10 years later, I'm fully believing that she's kind of just, you know, not like a wrestler anymore. She hasn't done it in a while. And then I was completely proven wrong in this match. She felt like a fucking natural, like she's been doing this all year. Looks completely natural in the ring with Charlotte. They kind of had, because the thing about dream matches is that they're never actually dream matches. They're either old people coming back and they don't remember how to fight, or they don't have the right chemistry, or it's like AJ and Shinsuke and they're, you know, they're doing their WWE, I'm just here for the money kind of run. They don't care as much. Their heart's not into it. And this is as close as you get, because Charlotte obviously, you know, wants to fight Trish and do her usual thing to prove that she's the fucking greatest female wrestler ever. And then Trish is actually putting in some damn good work here and is good doing it. Yeah, I was very happy with this match. It was fucking dope. I think there was a lot of really cool spots. Trish just did like crazy shit, jumping off the ropes. She did a Hurricane Rana off the ropes. She did like a weird bump where she fell on the back of her fucking spine, like her tailbone area. That looked brutal. She did the full figure 8. I know she like had her shoulders down, but who gives a shit at this point? But she did a full figure 8. That was cool. Then we had the big finish with Charlotte going over. I'm happy with that decision. Obviously, this is probably Trish Stratus' retirement match. He said so kind of going into it. Again, it's one of those things like, do you ever retire in wrestling at this point anymore? But as it stands, this is a great way to go out. I couldn't be happier with the result. Charlotte going over was the right decision, and they had good chemistry. I loved the match, and she looked, and how she left the ring and everything, I loved it. Very good stuff. Following that, sorry, I had to restart my camera there. Following that, we had Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. Another match I had to fast forward just a tiny bit, because I was not digging this match, and it was glitching, and I was trying to fix the stream at this point. And it fucked up bad enough to, like, what happened, because what happened was Kofi Kingston got DQ'd after Orton provoked him. And what happened was, because my stream fucked up, because I fast forwarded a little bit, and then I was like, okay, this whole fucking stream got off the rails, because I fast forwarded a tiny bit, and the next second, Kofi had, like, a chair, and he had just beaten up Randy Orton, and I was like, oh, I guess this is a no DQ match, and I didn't know. And then, like, they kind of just meander for a little bit. Hi, alarm. That's how early I'm filming. They meander for a little bit, and then the next thing I fucking know, Kofi's music's playing, and I was like, oh, the match is over. What? So, they're probably going to keep the storyline going, which, out of all of Kofi's feud that he's been doing with Samoa Joe, Ziggler, all these guys, this is the one I give the shit the least amount of. I'm sorry. And this is the one that I think they're going to prolong. Okay, I think Randy is like a good contrast for Kofi, but like I don't see him having good chemistry with like the New Day, and they're kind of just bringing up shit from over a decade ago that no one gives a shit about anymore. And I think, for me, if I care more than most people because I was like the right age when that feud happened, but like, does it really amount to much? They're kind of just going over the same plot threads whenever Kofi is rivaling with someone. It's like, oh, you were never meant to be this champion, and then he proves them wrong. And I think we're kind of past the point where it's like we fully believe that Kofi is a confident babyface who can beat 90% of the roster at this point. Just beat Orton clean. So no one cares if Orton loses. Anyway, we had 2 matches after that. We had Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, taking on Finn Balor. Ugh. I love Finn Balor. I think they're doing him dirty. In general, doing him dirty. But goddammit, did I want him to get buried in this match. Okay, I could do a whole video on Bray Wyatt's new thing. Just a little bit of background. Bray Wyatt's been one of my dudes, so to speak. Back when he debuted as Bray Wyatt. He was like one of my favorite dudes. I was really pushing for him. I was heartbroken when I was at WrestleMania Live and he just lost the fucking belt to Orton. I was like, okay, I've given up. And then he just kept losing and losing. He's always lost. So ever since they've introduced the whole Firefly Funhouse thing, I was like I didn't know what it was. Like I didn't understand what I was seeing, and then it just got better and better. And then the Fiend, and the only thing I was worried about was like, how is this gonna translate to him in the ring? He's not gonna fight in a fucking sweater vest. I really hope he does promos in that Mr. Rogers ass fucking sweater. That would be great. But as it stands, he's fighting as the Fiend, and that entrance, oh my fucking god, when the lantern with it's still PG somehow, you have a gaping, severed head of his old self as a lantern. Holy shit. And then, I know that he really wanted like a Slipknot song or something for his theme music. I guess that didn't get approved, but as it stands, we have like a new version, a new heavier version with some new added vocals and other stuff. Really making his song a lot better. And then you have like his old gimmick with the fireflies all around. I always liked that. I always thought that was like one of those things like, can you really take that away from him? So I'm glad they kind of kept that, because his entrance is not something that needed to be fixed, because his entrance has always been badass. But with the new like look, the jester pants, I like that he kind of just fights in a tank top now. Which he's always kind of had like tank top style things, but just the whole outfit in general I really like. The mask obviously is badass as fuck. Now when he's doing like creepy stuff like the corner thing, it kind of adds like a new layer to it, and it's really just Bray Wyatt. He doesn't change anything to his fighting style. He's still the same guy, but then with the hand thing, he goes for Sister Abigail, and then that didn't work. And then Finn goes for the coup de grace, and then mandible fucking claw, brought him to the floor, pinned him, and then we had that spooky ass imagery just with like the laughing and then the lights, and then like it was one of the most cinematic. No, it was the most cinematic thing I've seen in wrestling all year, and of course, Bray Wyatt would be behind it. I think that's why I like him so much, is that he pulls moments like this. And it was just one of those moments that it was like, oh yeah, this is why I like wrestling. Because it's fucking cool and interesting when they try to make it cool and interesting. Bray Wyatt's one of the few guys who seems to know basic storytelling and basic, like, character stuff. It was great. It was amazing. It was fantastic. 10 out of 10 IGN reports. I hope this new version of The Fiend gets taken to the moon. I don't give a shit about Seth Rollins. I don't give a shit about Kofi Kingston. I don't know who he's taking the title from, but get this man a title. Anyway, after that, we had one more match. The main event between Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. God, because I actually met Seth Rollins at a con just like a week or two ago, and Becky Lynch was there, and my girlfriend, who has her belt, got it signed by Becky, and I was like, oh, you're getting your sign. Let me buy a fucking belt and get it signed by Seth. You know, he's the Universal Champion right now. I bought, not the replica belts, because those things are fucking for rich people, but I bought, you know, my makeshift, the whatever they're called, belts that just are like plastic lookalikes, but they look real enough. But I bought that, had him sign it. He has the worst signature I've ever seen. But before I went, he lost the fucking belt. And now that I got it signed, he wins the fucking belt again. It's okay. But this match was actually really good. I think we all have, the way Brock has been betrayed like all these years, so many pay-per-views where he's just walking out of these big four pay-per-views. There have been other ones, Braun Strowman, all these guys who could have defeated him, even just Reigns at WrestleMania, all these guys that could have beat him and then didn't. And ever since then, I don't give a shit how he loses. I just want him to lose and get off my fucking screen. And when he came back and won this belt, I was so pissed off. And they worked me. They won. They gave it to him back just to kind of give Seth Rollins another huge push. He won it dirty, and now he won it clean. It makes sense. Okay. I liked what they did here. Because no one's beaten Brock Lesnar clean since, you could argue Goldberg, but again, I think that was kind of its own circumstance. No one's beat Brock Lesnar in a match since he squashed John Cena years ago. So, yeah. Seth finally being like the... And the storyline is the same thing it was at WrestleMania, that Brock Lesnar has trouble fighting these guys who can out-stamina him and out-agility, high-flying type stuff, assuming they can get their spots and get their high-flying moves, which Seth did. He did a frog splash onto a table, which is a great spot. It was scary, too, because when he did the mid-air, he was still not even close to where Brock was. I don't know how he did that. But yeah, then a couple curb stomps later, we got the pin. I absolutely loved it. I know a lot of people, like, Seth is not, like, top. He's finally that top guy. Like, he's in the Roman Reigns spot right now. And people are kind of, like, starting to, like, think, okay, I never thought of you as, like, a top guy. But, I like Seth. I would consider him a top guy, just not, like... I don't like him as much as a babyface as he was a heel. Like, with WWE's current product, there's worse things. It's still better than Lesnar being champion. It's still better than... I consider better than Roman Reigns. So, out of the bad choices, I think he's, like, a decent choice. So, I'm okay with it. I think as long as we can get some cool storylines, I hope he's fighting the OC or the Fiend. We got a couple of choices on who he could fight, so I'm down for all of them. So hopefully those will all be really cool, and hopefully this seals the Brock Lesnar title picture indefinitely. I don't want to see this man with a title ever again. God forbid. Sayonara, Brock Lesnar. Overall, though, the entire pay-per-view, which, by the way, we had pyro. We had, like, a big closing out pyro section. Goldberg's entrance had pyro. Really, really good stuff to see again. It felt like a big four pay-per-view. Like, I know the arena was the same fucking thing, but it felt like, oh, wrestling! yeah, this is fucking cool. So, just whenever I get those moments, I appreciate them. I don't think I've had them other than like maybe one or two. I haven't had like a good show since WrestleMania. So, I'm happy. I'm a happy camper. And the show was much shorter. I think that was a huge benefit. I know a lot of people, like, there's no Daniel Bryan on the show. Roman, Shinsuke. There was a lot of guys who normally are on the pay-per-view who were not. And then you had guys like Edge coming out. I think it's better to no show than to just be put in these giant multi-man matches that no one actually gives a shit about. A lot of these more hard-hitting matches that kind of cut to the chase, there's no bullshit, everything got proper time. Even Lesnar's match was much longer than a Lesnar match usually is. I thought this was actually a really well done pay-per-view on terms of WWE's current format. Again, they could make much better products. They have much better talent than what they're making. There's still a lot of cringy segments. There's good stuff like what R-Truth did on commentary. But, you know, there's still that weird segment with Drake and the New Day, which even they kind of like, it felt like they were trying to just make it work and then extinguish it like immediately. You know, you still had WWE cringe, but overall, like, I think we're on the right track. Like, we're finally out of the graveyard, the WWE graveyard that we've been in for a long time now. So, I'm a happy camper as long as we can keep up this momentum, make it push to Survivor Series, hopefully. We'll see. Anyway, thank you so much for watching Webcam Wrestling. I'll see you in the next one, and with that, I leave you.